Here we have again the piecewise defined function r of x with these three pieces together, and we want to find now the formulas of f, g, and h. First of all, if we look at f of x is just that piece from A to B. Now, if we look at A and we want to reach the point B, then we can go 1, 2, 3 in the positive y direction and 1, 2, 3 in the positive x direction. So m of f, the change in y will be 3 and the change in x will be 3, so the slope is 1. Okay, do we know what the c value is? Okay, if we go on and we take this line and we extend it, then we will have that it will cut at 7, because we can again go up 1, 2, 3 and again 1, 2, 3, and then it will intercept the y-axis there at 7. So the c value will be equal to plus 7. But if we're not sure about that value, if you cannot read it off, then we can use this point B minus 3, 4. We know it lies on the graph, so we can substitute it into this formula, y equal to 1x plus c, but the y is now 4 and the x is equal to minus 3 plus c, and then we will calculate c to be 7. So that's another way to find the value of c. So f of x is equal to x plus 7, or y is equal to x plus 7. Same thing. So these are two different ways to do that. So let me just show that there. You can first pause the video and then just see whether you can if I look at the equation of, I want to find the equation of g, there are two ways to do it. The first one is by just counting how many blocks must I go up to get to the point C. That will be 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until I get to the C value. So my slope will be 3 divided by 7. In this case, I've calculated it, but you can also count the blocks. But remember, you do not always have a grid line, so sometimes you must be able to just do the formula. So then I plug in the m value, y equal to mx plus c, and then I take any value, whether I take the minus 3, 4 or the 4, 7, it doesn't matter, either of that, and then I work out the value for c. Now if I work out the value of c, you will notice here that it doesn't go through the y-axis on a 5 or 7. It's somewhere in between 5 and 7, and if you calculate it, it's approximately 5.29. If I write it down in the exact value, that's 3707, here I can rewrite it in this way, so to make it easier for us to do our calculations. The equation for h, again, if I now use the counting of blocks, then I must go down 1, 2 values, and then 1, 2 to the right. So the 2 values that I went down will be negative 2, and the 2 that I go to the right will be plus 2, so the slope will be negative 1. Or I can substitute the values like there. Again, I have now my formula minus x plus c. I remind myself that 4, 7 and 6, 5 lies on this line. I can use either of that's substituted in the formula, calculate the value of c, plug it back into the formula g of x equal to mx plus c, and then I have my formula for this r of x, and I can replace the f of x with the formulas that I calculated for f of x, g of x, h of x. The last example when we did domain and range, we did the previous example and this example as well, and there we found that the domain of this function m is minus 8 to infinity, and the range is from minus 8 to plus infinity, and the range is from negative infinity up to 7. If I want to find the slope of each part, each piece of this piecewise defined function, then for mi I have to use the points E and F, and I'm just substituting. It doesn't matter what order you use. If I start with the 4 minus minus 4, then I must get minus 4 minus minus 8. I calculate that and get the answer of 2. If I look at FG, then I see, but the y values are the same, so I've got 4 minus 4 divided by 2 minus minus 4, so my slope is 0, as we saw in the previous example. And for the slope of k, it doesn't matter that it's an open dot there, I can use any other point, but for calculating the slope, I can just as well include that value 27, so I can use it in my calculation. If I don't want to use this 0.27, I can go to any place where it cuts the graph nicely, like for instance at 1. And then I can go down to the next place, so 1, 2, 3, 4, there it cuts the grid again on a corner, so I get 4 down and 2 to the right, so it's negative 4 and divided by plus 2, and will also give me minus 2. Remember, you don't have to use a formula. If you have a grid, you can just count it, and this is just a backup, or the other way around. If I calculate it, I can quickly check it here on my graph if I have a grid.